Welcome to Jumwe Chats. Welcome to Jumwe Chats. I'm your humble host, Jumweji Sesa, and this is a podcast where we don't take ourselves and life too seriously. How are you guys doing? Long time no talk. Long time no talk. Happy New Year, because I'm pretty sure this is the first episode for the year. And why haven't I released any episode in the past 2 months, Jan and Feb? I did record in those 2 months, but I don't know why I didn't. I think at the beginning of the year, I think we're battling some insecurities, right? Like the whole podcast space. Obviously, I was also asking myself if I want to continue with this because I guess I was feeling embarrassed or feeling ashamed of like flopping. And yeah, I was just feeling I was in my head a lot, mainly because of like there's so many podcasts out there that I really enjoy that are doing so good. What what more do me and my little platform have to add there? And yeah, so I finally decided to just suck it up, be serious, and just record this month and release as well because we were recording, we were just not releasing. And I was gonna like release two of them together in one venture, like in one compressed, like in cuts, like January, like January and Feb, like in one combined pod, but I ended up deleting those videos because yeah, I got frustrated as I was editing them, and yeah, I just want to start anew, I guess. So we're gonna take this as the New Year segment. It's a Sunday when I'm recording. Today is the 16th of March, so we're just having a little water, hydrating because I was just having a conversation with my sister for one of my assignments. It's an interview situation, so I was just doing that. And yeah, so far it's been a productive Sunday. We've done some laundry, currently making food for the week, and why not, right? Why not record today? So the name of this one is just like it's called allowing ourselves to flop, and that is one of the Gen Z sayings that I'm really enjoying currently. Allowing ourselves to flop. I think, yeah. But before we delve into that, let's speak mental health. How are we doing mentally? We are very we are in a space where very uncertain, and I'm in a space where I'm very uncertain about a lot of things right now. Uncertain about job prospects, uncertain about where I'm going, uncertain about like relationships that I have with people. I'm just uncertain within myself. We're just very There's a lot of uncertainty that I'm feeling right now. And when I'm at that point, I don't like making a lot of decisions. So hopefully we gain some clarity soon, or hopefully life eventually unravels and gives us some clarity. So yeah, otherwise I think I'm okay. I think I'm really well today because I'm being productive, and the days when I'm like really productive, that's when I know that I'm okay. I'm a functional being. When I'm rotting all day in bed, that's when I usually know that something's a bit off there. I mean, of course, there's rotting resting, but like sometimes when I'm rotting where I don't want to do anything, having a lot of detrimental thoughts, that's when I know that things are not okay. But that's not how I'm feeling today, which is, yeah, thank God for that, man. Anyways, so yeah, allowing ourselves to flop. The reason why that is the first episode of the year is there are a lot of resolutions. We're now like in mid of our third month into January, and the resolutions. I think most of us have a clear picture of whether those resolutions are, what's the word, whether they're sticking or not, whether they're just one of those New Year excitements, or whether it's actually whether those resolutions are now becoming habits, or whatever, or they're actually happening. Most of us have that idea right now. And I think at the beginning, I think the biggest reason as to why a lot of us the biggest reason as to why a lot of us drop our resolutions is because we don't see the results right away. Like, we make a resolution in January, we don't see the result by February. So that's why a lot of us feel discouraged by that. Where, like, that's usually like the cycle of like a lot of the things we're about to do in our lives. There's always that initial excitement. And then it now reaches to that point where like the excitement is gone. Now you have to now get into that consistency phase where at this time you're not seeing any changes in anything. It's just becoming it just feels like you're doing all the work for nothing. No end goal, no changes. Like, we're not sowing anything at this time. And this is where a lot of us tend to lose we tend to get discouraged. We feel like, oh, we're failures, and we don't want to. Basically, we throw tantrums and we throw things away, and we're like, you know what, I'm not gonna continue with this anymore because I'm not getting anything out of it. But we don't. Most of us don't usually stick it out to reach to a point where, like, out of nowhere, you see results. That's one thing that I've started learning about, like, working towards something. There's like the working towards something. There's always that initial stage where we're not. It's always There's always that initial stage where we're never going to see. We look like failures, pretty much, and because a lot of us have egos, a lot of us stay in our pride. We don't like being in that phase. It hurts our feelings. Like, I think, yeah, the ego gets hurt, and staying there, who wants to stay in a place where, like, you're not feeling at your best, you're not feeling your best, you feel bruised, your ego is bruised. So yeah, that's where the whole concept of, like, we don't give ourselves room to flop. We don't tell ourselves that it's okay to fail. Let me just keep at it, and eventually we'll see the change. We don't give ourselves that because it's like, why would I be failing, right? And I feel like that's how I tend to treat a lot of things. A lot of things where I think I tend to stay in the glamorized aspect of things where I'm like, oh, it's always supposed to feel right, in a sense where I feel like if I want to do everything every day, I should be passionate about it. But I don't know if you listen to my podcast, the one about creatives, where an episode I had about the one about creatives, where, like, there's so many things, like, a lot of us in things that we want to be doing, there's gonna be so many instances where it doesn't feel romantic anymore. We don't feel passionate about it, where you just feel like you're just doing things with no clear goal. Wait, I think someone is coming inside. Anyways, yeah, so that's basically where that topic came from, because I feel like that's the way I was also treating this space, like, forgetting that the original goal was just having this space just to vent, just to chat, just to explore my 20s, just to explore my life. That was the original goal. I kind of forgot that, where I started becoming very comparative. I started feeling ashamed of not being not being perfect in the aesthetic sense, in the topic sense, in the language sense, in the way in the way this podcast is delivered, not being perfect in that sense. So yeah, I wasn't allowing myself to flop. So when you don't allow yourself to flop, you don't give yourself room for greatness. That's what I think it is. And I feel like great people are not afraid to gravel for what they want. I'm not afraid to be uncomfortable with the no's, not afraid to be uncomfortable with the rejections. So yeah, I really want to reframe that. So in continuation, adding more to that, I want us to explore this word that I came across. It's on TikTok. There's this creator that I love on TikTok. So he just brings words of the day. I feel like I should come here and just chat about my top TikTokers and why I like them as well, because I really enjoy TikTok. So one moment, as I'm exploring, as I'm finding the creator, right? Um, Yeah, I think I should definitely come here and just talk about my favorite words of the days. No, no words of the day, my favorite TikTokers. So this creator, I think, is fairly new. He just came up like the first TikTok that I can find is on. It was on, yeah, in Feb 24th Feb. It was on 24th Feb. That was the first. That was the first TikTok I ever saw. But his name is King. His name is KAII, and the ad is King.kx7 or something like that. So he basically just comes and says words of the day on TikTok, where he's bringing like a word, like a word that means something to him that day, and you come tell us what it means and what how to interpret that. Even brings phrases, famous phrases, phrases that I have never heard of. So he brought this particular one that I think I've heard of, but I never really like internalized. Right? It's called Dum Spiro Spero. So basically, Dum Spiro Spero, I think it's a Latin phrase from what he explained. So its translation is while I breathe, I hope. So while I breathe, I hope. Dum Spiro Spero. So Spiro also means to live. So it could also be translated as while I live, I hope. I hope. I hope. While I live, I hope. So yeah, so I heard this phrase from the creator that I love following on TikTok, and I'm always looking forward to his words of the day. It's because I'm usually on TikTok. I love TikTok. So the way he so usually when people are talking about this word, it's usually as a motivation that while I'm alive, I should never stop hoping. While I'm alive, I should never lose hope or whatever. It's usually used as slogans, go like those company slogans, those goals for I don't know teams or whatever to boost them up and all that. And it's so crazy that when I heard about this word, I was even just having a conversation with my friend that day about how it feels like we're just working towards something, but the goals don't feel like they're being achieved anytime soon. They don't even feel like they're being achieved. They don't even seem like they're coming close. And it's so crazy that we're even talking about that. And so the word just basically, I feel like the phrase came at a perfect time. So yeah, as I mentioned, it's used as motivation most of the times. It's like an optimistic tactic. However, like I just want to take it a bit further. I know it's like, oh, I'm still alive. Let me never lose hope. Let me continue doing blah 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 blah. But I don't know if the way I wanna take it a step further is like helpful to anything, or if it even makes sense. Just let me land or try to understand me what I'm saying. Try to understand the way I want to interpret it, or the way I interpreted it that day about how we're feeling. Like, because my friend, the person that I was talking to, just graduated. She's looking for jobs, and you know how the job market is. I'm still in school for an amount of years that feel like an eternity. And it just doesn't feel like if anything is about to end. We're tired of trying, basically. So that day, the way I just took it is like, not only to be helpful because I still breathe or live, but to also breathe, be still, so that I can hope. I don't know if you get what I mean. So just trying to flip it a little bit there, right? So I'm just trying to not get ahead of myself. So you know how like sometimes we have a tendency of like, because we know patterns, or we know how things end, we don't like putting ourselves in situations where we will essentially break our hearts or leave us hurt. I feel like that's what we also tend to do in like when you start thinking negatively, thinking like jumping into conclusions when things haven't happened yet. So the whole thing that I'm saying here, that it seems like we are working toward goals that don't seem like they're coming any close. That don't seem like they're like that don't seem like they're going to be grasped basically. So like what I mean is that like I'm already thinking like that when all I have to do is just wake up every day, try hard, go to school, pass until I finish. And then after that it will be done. It's like I'm already breaking my heart before I've even given myself a chance to finish the degree or to get the job in the first place. It's like we're already breaking our hearts before we even get to where we're trying to get to, no matter how long it takes. So what what I can benefit from is, instead of just running or ungotamanga and jumping, maybe let's basically running a marathon instead of sprinting or trying to jump somewhere and then hurting myself before I even get to the place. So basically being still and taking every day as it comes, every minute as it comes. And the days when I feel, when I'm like, taking it slow, working until we get to where we're supposed to get to, instead of already thinking about not getting there when we're still working toward that thing. You get what I'm saying? So that's why I mean, like, taking that phrasing, Dum Spiro Spero, while I taking it in a sense of like, breathe, guy, pomani guy, be still. And then from there, you gain clarity. And from that clarity, during that time as you're breathing, you also gain strength to be able to hope. Fage, when you're always working towards something or when you're always thinking about something, I think you also get to a point where you just burn yourself out, or maybe things start to seem bigger than what they actually are. And then they don't seem like realistic goals. I don't know if you're catching my drift there. But yeah, that's the word that I wanted to come share. That's even tying a little bit more to the phrasing, to the Gen Z saying that I love. Allow yourself to flop. Well, like, maybe we are in our flopping stages right now where we look like failures. Because our pace won't make sense to everybody, and we'll get a lot of like backlash from people. Oh, why aren't you done yet? Why don't you have a job yet? Blah 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 blah. And there's no way those type of things won't get to you. There's no way you start looking at yourself as a failure. There's no way you won't start feeling embarrassed. But I think the beauty in it is that allowing yourself to be embarrassed as you're still working towards something, allowing yourself to look like an idiot as you're still trying to work towards something, allowing yourself to look cringe, embarrassing as you're still trying to work towards something. So allowing yourself to flop, breathe, stay where you are so that you can hope. So that you don't put too much pressure on yourself, not getting ahead of yourself basically. And most of all, not breaking your own heart by jumping into conclusions. That's pretty much what I just mean about that. And so obviously, this past I've also attended, like, some anxiety things, some mental health things, where I remember one of the things they said was taking a deep breath, right? So when they say you should take a deep breath, they mean, like, I don't know if you guys already know about this, or janjani, or maybe it's common sense. But they say that when you take a deep breath, make sure that you breathe from you take a deep breath from your diaphragm, right? Because obviously when you're breathing, you're always breathing from like your chest, your lungs, la da da da. But when you take a deep breath, the reason why you're taking it from your diaphragm is because it doesn't feel straining, so that you don't strain, so that you can take in as much air as you can, so that your exhale is as long as it should be, or the so that in order so it's as long as as it should be, so that you can take, so that it has the calming effect. And that's the base, essentially just staying into the I breathe so that I hope situation of it all. So that, yeah, it ties into the I breathe so that I hope situation of it all. So that allowing yourself as much time to conceptualize things, to get to where you have to get to. Maybe that also gives you as much time. It gives you maybe like renewed energy for a longer period of time, for an extended period of time. I don't know what I mean, Sha. But yeah, that's what I that's what I'm saying. Majority of the time, I don't even feel like I know how to speak like that, because it's like, those moments when you have like two languages in your head where you're not good at either. Like, sometimes articulating myself is so difficult. Even speaking, I think speaking for me as well has been tiring, even though I'm a person that likes to air out their opinions. But yeah, so even though the topic of the day is allowing yourself to flop, I wanted to just divert a little bit to another topic, just another topic that even I just came across today on TikTok as well. my home base. I've forgotten the creator. Did I save the creator as well? Because I don't want to just be talking about things without putting you guys on so that you go see what I mean. Mm-hmm. Yeah, let me even put it.
I saw Matle made a video about like community and friendship and all of that good stuff. And one thing I also wanted to mention is that people will literally share nothing at all with the people around them, right? And I get it, it's but then you guys will have these shallow friendships or relationships and stuff, but then complain about how lonely you are, about how you're no one's first option, about how you feel like you're not anyone's priority, and all of that. You treat people like you don't trust them. How do you expect them to treat you back? It's just, I don't know, man. Let's hope we eat too much. Let's hope we eat too much. So much so that you guys, what's the word? You don't form friendships. You don't share anything about yourselves because, oh my god.
Anyways, so yeah, I don't understand part of that because obviously, but like most of it, I think the main message there was delivered. So pretty much the failure of forming deep friendships when you don't open up to people, right? So I just equate that to nonchalantness. So essentially, there she was just explaining about how a lot of us are complaining about the loneliness epidemic and things like that, when some of that can also be attributed to us, our own selves. The whole idea of like monitoring spirits, the whole idea of not sharing our part of ourselves because people will hurt us is also adding more to the whole thing of like not not having genuine friendships. And it's so crazy. I've never heard of that specific take before with regards to friendships. I've heard about a lot of things where like, oh, people are not genuine anymore, or people love like each other because of stay. I've heard about various takes with regards to the whole friendship thing, but never this one where like it's because of the languages we use or the type of era that we are, where people are pretty much to themselves or like having the fear of even the whole concept of like having monitoring spirits and all things actually causing more harm. And that is so crazy to me because I'm very guilty of this where I think with the way we interact each other is so shallow to a sense where we are not vulnerable with each other, which is like rightfully so because people can be cruel. But I think a lot of us are just operating from this place of fear where the whole thing that I was really saying, breaking our own hearts before our hearts are even broken in the first place. I think a lot of us already always come down with like all these scenarios of things that could happen when the friendship doesn't work out, but we never think from it from a perspective of like, what if it does work out? And I think, I think a lot of us are very intuitive. Like the way we all seem, the way everybody feels like they have their intuition is on 100%. Oh, they feel energies, blah 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 blah. You also have to take into account that other people feel sense energies. So I think maybe some instances where we feel like we're not being prioritized is a situation where the people that we want to prioritize us haven't felt that connection with us because we don't share ourselves authentically. We don't give each other grace. We're all operating from a defensive mode where like if you do me dirty, I do you dirty back. We don't have empathy for each other. We don't have trust to share what we're going through, our fears. We're not being vulnerable with each other. So why would you form a deep connection with somebody that doesn't share themselves fully with you? Why would you also want to share yourself fully with them? Because it looks sketchy, doesn't it? So yeah, that was one TikTok that I just wanted to bring to the pod. But otherwise, guys, thank you so much for listening. And you know, I'm your humble host, Chimamwechi Sesa. And the song for the I didn't even prepare. Okay, the song for the podcast is called Care for Me by J Smash featuring Something Soweto. I hope you guys enjoy. And yeah, as I say, always comment if you have more insight to what I'm trying to say or if you can articulate it better than how I am. Thank you so much. Don't take yourselves and life too seriously.